Hello and welcome to another Friday. It's been a couple of weeks since I did a video, so I thought it was time that I stepped up and gave you my opinion on some things, because I know you've all just been wondering, where is Reed and how come I don't get to hear his thoughts on the real estate market? Well, problem solved. Here I am, Reed Melton, licensed real estate broker in the state of Oregon. I work with Realty One Group Discovery in Bend. The best resource that I have available to you, other than picking up the phone, would be my website, enjoybendlife.com. If you go to the blog section, which is linked through the upper navigation bar on the upper right of the screen, you'll get to see all of the weekly emails that I've put out for 3.5 years. Probably don't want to read all of those. That would be an awful lot of reading that isn't even relevant anymore, because the market changes so quickly. That's probably a good transition into some of the things I'd like to talk about today. Market moving quickly. For starters, this morning the 30-year fixed rate mortgage national average was 5.97%. Wednesday morning, it was 6.25%. So talk about moving quickly. Mortgage rates, since the Federal Reserve started raising the overnight rate, which is not directly tied to mortgage rates, but that certainly has an impact on it, have really been volatile. They've gone from 5% to 6.25% and up, down, sideways. So my advice there would be, speak with a local lender or two, because in many cases different lenders have different rates available to them and things change rapidly. Locking in your rate is not a bad idea if things are at a low, at least a low considered over the last several weeks. We're not going to probably see the lows of sub 3% for some time, if ever. Who knows? So this morning in Deschutes County, single family homes in Deschutes County, there were 910 active listings. At this time of year, especially with Labor Day in the rear view mirror, we are going to see inventory decline. It will decline quite a bit over the winter. An example would be last April, about mid-April of actually of this year, of 2022, we had an inventory of about 330 single-family homes for sale in Deschutes County. So, if you look at that being Lapine, Bend, Redmond, Terrebonne, Sisters, that's not very many homes spread around all those communities at different price points. So inventory is in decline. We also are seeing a fair amount of price reductions. I've noticed a lot of homes sub $500,000 that are really nice looking houses that we weren't really seeing before. That under $500,000 mark really had some challenging properties, challenged properties that had some issues that a lot of buyers just weren't really interested in. So if that's a market that you've been keeping an eye on, you're probably going to be pleasantly surprised that there are a lot more options at very reasonable prices. So kind of breaking away from inventory and looking at really a breakdown of the inventory, I should say. Of the 910 homes that we have on the market right now, 107 of them have been on the market for 10 days or less. 261 of those properties have been on the market 90 days or more. So 261, that's just under 29% of the market. Another big part of the market, homes that have been on the market 30 days or less, is also 29% of the market, 264. So, we're seeing a lot of turnover. We're seeing a lot of sales. We're seeing a lot of pending properties. And the market is active. It's not like everybody just sat back and said, oh my gosh, interest rates are high and, we're in a recession, or we're going into a recession, or, oh, what's going to happen? People that need to buy are buying. People that want to buy are buying. And there are still a healthy amount of sellers that are out there throwing their homes on the market. As I mentioned earlier, not as many, and that will be declining. But we're still seeing a lot of activity in the market. So of that activity, a couple of numbers that are kind of interesting. Since August 31st, we've had 124 pending sales. So August 31st was a week ago Wednesday. That's usually when I pull numbers for my weekly emails that I send out our Wednesday morning. 68 properties of those pending properties had price changes. Now with pending, I don't see what the sales price is until after it's sold. So I just see what the list price was. But before those pending properties found a buyer, they lowered their price by a median amount of 6.3%. So 68 of 124. Of the sold properties since August 31st, we have 100 that have sold and 40 price changes of 6.9%. So, you can see the prices have come down a bit, but it's not across the board. Some people that have priced their homes correctly are getting full price or close to it. Others are accepting offers. So all in all, those numbers are higher in terms of the number of price changes and the percentage of a price decrease than we've seen in quite some time, which is good for buyers. Interestingly enough, of the pending properties, the median days on market was 44. Of the sold properties, the median days on market was 22. So, sold properties, those went pending 30, 45 days ago, in some cases even longer. So the market was a little bit different then. But we're seeing that homes that are priced correctly are still selling quickly. So that's why you notice that median days on market can be lower for sold. Obviously, if the pending median days are 44, 30 or 45 days from now, the sold properties are going to have a higher median days on market. But really getting into minutia at that point, it doesn't really matter. An interesting thing of the sold properties, the sale price to the original list price ratio of the sold properties in that period, August 31st to this morning, was 98.15%. So, across the board, people are getting very close to asking price for their homes. So, okay, that's fine. That's this morning's data. What does that mean for the future? Well, in the short term, between now and the end of the year, I think that there are a lot of great opportunities for buyers. Now, great opportunity is relatively speaking compared to the last couple of years and what we saw in the real estate market. It's much improved for buyers. Keep in mind we have less than 90 days to put a home under contract to close before the end of the year. So right now is typically a very active season for buyers and sellers. All indications are that will be the case this year as well. It doesn't mean that homes don't sell in January, February, March. They do. There's just less inventory, less activity. With snow on the ground and all the rest, it can be a little harder to make that all happen. A lot of times you're not able to really see a property, especially larger parcels, larger lots in the winter because they're covered in snow. So that just sort of slows everything down. But next year, based on what our inventory is doing now and the decline that we're seeing, all indications are that next year we're going to start with a very reduced inventory. And that's going to make things challenging for buyers. It doesn't matter whether we have a recession. It doesn't really matter where interest rates are. There are always going to be sellers. There are always going to be buyers. It's just a matter of how many are there going to be. And if you don't have many homes listed for sale, that's going to keep prices firm. So depending on your situation, depending on how long-term your focus is, now could be the right time as a buyer to jump in. I wrote in my email this last Wednesday, the devil you know may be better than the devil you don't. Basically, who knows what's going to happen next spring and next summer. I don't think it's going to be tragic, but if you're waiting for prices to decrease significantly, we just don't see that happening. I've said that week in and week out for a few months now, and in all of that time we have not seen prices drop dramatically. Now again, below the median sale price, we have seen prices come down. Not massive drops, but they've certainly improved for buyers, but that's weighed against interest rates coming up. Now, on enjoybendlife.com, any listing that you look at, you see a home that you like, you click on it. At the bottom of that listing, you're going to have a mortgage calculator there. There are dozens of mortgage calculator options on the internet. Use whichever one you like. But if you start doing calculations and you change your interest rate from 6% to 5%, or you change your down payment, which is probably going to be the bigger impact, you're going to notice that in many cases the change in your monthly payment is $75 to a couple $100. You have to make some really big changes in those calculators to see your mortgage payment go from $2,800 to $2,100. And usually that change is in hopes of interest rates dropping or home prices dropping, which again we're just not seeing. So just keep that in mind. If you're really price sensitive, there's no question that $200 or $300 a month on a mortgage can have a big impact on your personal finances and just your quality of life. But if you're not quite as price sensitive, is $150 a month enough to warrant sitting out on the sidelines for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months? I don't know. That's going to be a personal decision for you. But for people that are motivated to come to Central Oregon or have a particular reason to come here, job, kids in school, whatever it is, I don't really see that waiting is going to change your situation that much. And if you have less to choose from, it could change your situation for the worse. Right now we've got a pretty healthy number of homes on the market, a fair amount of options at different price points, and that's good news for buyers. That's about all I have for today. Definitely a little bit of a chill in the air in the mornings these days. Fall is knocking on the door. We've got a couple of big fires in Central Oregon, the Cedar Creek fire that's northeast of Waldo Lake that's sort of threatening the Cascade Lakes Highway. Yesterday that was closed. I don't know what the status is this morning. And then in Northeast Oregon there's another big fire. But all in all, the fire season was pretty restrained this year. We're thankful for that. But it's another beautiful day here in Central Oregon. I hope you have great plans for the weekend. And if you have any questions or need anything related to real estate, let me know. Thanks very much. Have a great day.